ahead. Welcome everybody to a 12 o'clock show with Mayor Joe. Just wanted to start off today a little bit, just a couple of comments about the school shooting. Obviously, we're all getting the information with what's going on. This is not the first school shooting, and unfortunately, it's not going to be the last school shooting. Everybody has their ideas of what the best solution is. Unfortunately, I don't know if anybody's actually trying to solve the problem. I think they should. I think the conversations need to be out there because this is becoming to a point where it's so frequent that we're starting to get desensitized to it. It's just another thing, whether it's a school shooting or a mass shooting in Buffalo or any number of other things. We have to do better. We can't just treat the ultimate impact of what gun violence does in America. We actually have to start dealing with the issues about what drives somebody to go to that point in the first place. We actually have to start a lot earlier than just this last thing. So that's my comments on it. I'm more than happy to discuss other opinions with you on the particular subject at some other time, but for now I do want to turn into something that's actually a lot more enjoyable of a conversation, and that is with my intern, Drew Longaberger, joining us today, and he's so thrilled to be on camera with everyone. You can tell. I'm going to give you just a little bit of a background. Drew reached out to me a while ago and had inquired about a potential for an unpaid internship within the city because he wanted to actually just become a part of it. We were actually able to partner with Franklin County Job and Family Services to actually get him a paid internship position. And then from there, it became something that I'm not even sure he expected what actually happened. So with that, why did you want to do this in the first place? What makes you think, hey, an exciting thing is going to be working for the city? What brought you to that?
So I've always been interested in politics, and about a year and a half ago, I had made it a goal to try and speak to one person from each level of government, either the local, state, or federal level. And obviously, you were the closest thing to the local that I could find, and so I wrote you a letter and tried to reach out and find an internship opportunity, or to at least sit down and talk with you and have a conversation about local government before I made the decision to enter into Ohio University with a political science degree. So I wanted to figure out if I liked politics before I actually committed to it and started going to college for that.
And you're still interested?
I am still interested.
Just making
I love
sure.
it.
Because there are a lot of things that you've been exposed to here, but first let's talk about what are some of the things that you've done as an intern that you think everybody out there would probably be interested in seeing, some of the more unique things that you've had the opportunity to do.
Well, just working with every city department has opened my eyes to a lot of new things that I never really thought would happen within the city. I thought I had a pretty good understanding of what the local government did before I entered this job, but it just absolutely blew my mind. I've written legislation that's gone in front of city council that was passed unanimously through. I've rode around with code enforcement officers to get out of in the field experience. I've worked with the city attorney's office to every Thursday with our Romsburg Mayor's Court, and just the overall research aspect of all the projects that we do in the city. It's truly mind blowing of what all I've been able to accomplish in this time here and the opportunities that you've been giving me.
It's definitely, the former teacher in me just basically says, if we're going to be doing an internship, let's throw you out there and see what happens. Now, what are some of the surprising things that you've learned? Because obviously there's a lot of unique things that happen in the day-to-day basis. So what's some of the surprising things you found out about the city?
Just all of the things that go in behind the scenes to all the things that happen within the city. The development aspect of it, I had no idea that there was a development department or a specialized department to bring economic growth into the city. All of the things that happen in the service department, the water department and everything, that's very surprising. I know that the city takes care of the roads and the water lines and everything, but just the things that go into maintaining that, it's very surprising. There are a lot of departments that I didn't necessarily know existed. What all behind the scenes for the parks department is just everything about this has been unique and very exciting and surprising.
And you've definitely had your fair share of answering the phones with some of the more unique concerns that residents have.
Talking to residents have been one of my favorite parts, and it's you see something new every day. It's never a dull moment.
No,
you say a lot.
It is not. So last night you had graduation ceremony, and so you're an official graduate now.
I am.
So what do you plan on doing? I know you mentioned Ohio University, which is great. Go you. So where do you think you see yourself moving forward based on the experience that you've had here and what you plan on doing going forward?
Well, I am going to go to college in OU, as I mentioned previously, for political science. while I'm down there, I'd like to speak to other local governments like the Athens government, or try and find internship opportunities while I'm there to work at federal government or at the state level, just to get more exposure to the political environment that we have in this country. I'm not really sure where I'm going to take it from there. I'll just go wherever my feet take me. So.
Okay. All right. Any questions?
No.
No questions at all. So, last week I did mention that you're a big sports fan.
Sure, we can go with that.
And we know really you're not really a big sports fan, but have you at least kind of gotten a different understanding of, how intertwined sports are, just
Yes.
in conversations all the way throughout?
Yeah, there are a lot of sports analogies that are mentioned in this place, and it ties a lot into politics. And
Yep.
you guys not only have taught me about the political side of everything, but you've also got to teach me about sports,
Yep.
which is something I wasn't familiar with to begin with.
And you're very enthusiastic about it all the way.
Go sports!
There
Love
we go.
sports.
Your sister isn't watching, but is there anything you'd like to say, just in case she watches it later?
Hi, Kate. I hope you're doing well in school. I hope you're not watching right now, or please, for the love of God, don't submit any questions. And yeah, that's just. I don't know what else to say. But.
Okay. All right. No other questions?
No.
All right. So, just for anybody who's out there who's interested, eventually, as Drew moves on to a higher university, we will be looking for another internship position in the city. So, if you know someone that's a student at Reynoldsburg City Schools that would like to participate and kind of get the same kind of an experience, feel free and reach out to the office because we'll be doing that in the not too distant future.
I highly recommend it. Please sign up for it.
Yeah, it's always an adventure. So next Monday is Memorial Day, and we will be having a ceremony at Memorial Plaza on the corner of Lancaster and Main Street. It's going to start at 12 o'clock, and it's really organized by our military commission that we have some group of citizens and community volunteers for that to recognize Memorial Day. So we hope you can come out and see us on Monday. It'll start at 12. Usually it's about a half an hour worth of a ceremony. But you can park on site or you can park at City Hall and walk your way over. It just depends on you. So go ahead and do that. We also want to talk a little bit about Intel. As you know, Intel is coming into the region, and so Reynoldsburg is participating in what they call the Welcome Intel Task Force. So we have had a couple of meetings, and we met with Intel actually just recently about what Intel is going to bring to our community, how it's going to get involved, what the impact is going to be on our citizens. And so a couple of things I just kind of wanted to go over. First of all, had the opportunity to actually attend a briefing from Central Ohio Technical College, which is just outside of Reynoldsburg on the Broad Street side. And they're actually already in the process of developing a program. So for those of you that are rising juniors, my son is a rising junior, and if you're interested in the tech field, they're actually going to have programs set up at COTC to actually help accelerate things. So by the time that Intel facilities are built, you'll have the training and the certification. You can actually pop in there. So we're working with Reynoldsburg City Schools, the COTC, and Intel to arrange a couple of town hall meetings as the summer goes on. So stay tuned for that. There's also going to be a lot of things to do with infrastructure. Mink Road, as we've heard if you've been watching the show lately, Mink Road is probably going to be one of those roads that is expanded to the potential of 5 lanes, which then will lead into I-70 and Taylor Road. I'll have an on and off ramp as well. So there's going to be a lot of infrastructure improvements that are going on. So we're doing our best to make sure that the traffic flows as best as possible. So we know that when they're coming down Mink Road, they can go east to 310. Eventually they can go west and go to Taylor Road at the 70 interchange. So we're working with all the different various agencies to kind of improve that. But most importantly, we're basically working with Intel to try and bring in jobs. We know that they have 30 to 40 subsidiary businesses that are going to be coming into the area. Some need to be very close to that location. Some can be on the outskirts. We're obviously one of those outskirt areas, but we are working with Intel to attract some of those businesses to come here. So stay tuned for that. But I'll give some periodic updates on it. We actually have our next meeting tomorrow morning, so we're looking forward to that to see exactly how far things have progressed. Code enforcement issues, just want to keep a reminder to everybody, sometimes the rain is problematic when it comes to cutting grass, so just do as best a job as you can. We're obviously going to be patient with you if it rains, multiple days in a row, or if it's rained hard for a while and then you can't get back to to cut your grass. But again, try and keep that as maintained as possible. We also have keeping those sidewalks clear, making sure that you can kind of trim up the shrubbery, things like that. We do have some roads updates. So as you know, if you've been on Main Street, obviously those 2 westbound lanes are still open. But you're looking on the eastbound lane, you're actually starting to see the curb was actually put in yesterday. So the curb is starting to move its way around. Have not had to have my chance to take my early morning walk on Main Street yet today, but I'm going to do that here in a little while. But the curb was stopped yesterday around VIX, and so they're going to continue to work with that for the curb cut. So hopefully we can see some progress in that over the next couple of days so we can get Lancaster back open as soon as possible. Thankfully, so far, knock on wood, the weather has held out so far this week. We know it's supposed to rain, but it's not supposed to rain until later today. So those are some things there. But again, please keep in mind you do need to try and do as good a job as we can to support our local businesses. We have put a couple of signs out there as far as how to get to VIX from turning in a little bit earlier by the animal hospital or turning a little bit later on Wagner. Also, we have Strader or some of the farmers markets or some of the landscaping services and things like that as well out there. So go ahead and try and patronize some of those businesses for our small businesses. We were able to go out over the last week and give away the first 3 of our small business grants for minority, female, and veteran-owned businesses. So you'll start to see those on our social media because, again, we are trying to do everything we can to support our local businesses. We know that 1883 Locale was one. We also know Donley Power Washing. And then, obviously, I think the one that has been out on social media is Slab, which is really, really good. And my wife loves the tomato soup and grilled cheese. Just throwing that out there. So I know she's probably watching soon and probably going to be hungry for it. Beyond that, we do have some opportunities as far as the Citizen Police Academy is going to be starting September 1st. So if you're interested in participating in our Citizens Police Academy, you can go online and actually fill out a form and turn that in. So we're taking applications. But one thing came up this week that I kind of wanted to talk about. We all know if you follow social media, every now and then somebody puts out, hey, a lot of police cars went this particular direction, or hey, what's going on in this particular neighborhood? And sometimes people answer because they have their police scanners, they find out. Other times nothing really happens. But one of the things that I was kind of interested in is everybody, because of the way things are, everybody turns right into almost like it was a negative thing, like something bad is happening, a criminal act, violence and things like that. And while certainly that does happen, one of the things that RPD does that I don't think really people appreciate because it's not something that they broadcast is they actually were trying to track down a missing person, somebody who had left an area. Their family was very concerned about their well-being, and so they had to use, obviously, a number of squad cars to go out there, a number of officers, and even drones to go out and find and bring this person home safely, which they did. They're not going to go out on social media and say, hey, look, we found somebody. That's just not what they do. That's part of their job. But when you see cars going in a particular direction, all of that stuff, they're doing it for reasons. They're doing it for reasons that sometimes are because of criminal activities, but a lot of times it's to help people in situations that nobody wants to be in. And in this particular case, they were able to find somebody who was missing and bring them back to their family. And that's a huge thing because usually we only hear those stories when the people aren't brought back to their family. Kudos is not even a strong enough word for it. So thank you, RPD, for doing that out there. And for those residents that are out there that are curious, we all get curious about what's going on, things like that. But just keep in mind, not all the time is it something that is a bad thing. With that, I'll go ahead and move to the next thing. We do have some development news. On council, this past Monday, we did have a purchase agreement in place for the Happy Dragon. So we know it's already been passed as far as the planning and zoning and all of the building stuff, but this is the first part of the purchase agreement. So basically, this is the second of the 2 properties the city had purchased that we have now been in contract with to sell. So we can get those funds back. And these are investments. We talked about the land across from the cemetery. We know that a major medical provider is going to go there, Center Ice, and the funds that we're going to be receiving for that more than compensate for the land price that we paid for it. In this particular instance, there's a couple of things that are there. This is an investment. So we did sell the property, and it's the 70% of the total cost of the project, which includes everything from our EPA search to our demo of the building in the first place and all of that stuff. So everybody's like, all right, well, 70% of the deal, that's not very good. Well, it actually is because we're going to talk about what it is in a long-term sense. The first thing, the property value is going to go up because it's going to be a brand new building and it's going to be beautiful. And those property values, while not necessarily benefiting the city, actually will benefit our school district because they'll actually earn more dollars from that to go into our school district. And we all know that schools need every dollar that they can get. The other part of it is going to be the increase in the income tax that's going to come to the city, and that is going to something that's directly benefiting it. So we know that we'll more than make up the difference between the sale price and what the purchase price was based on the income tax and the property tax that goes on. And then we get into something that we like to call quality of life stuff. Part of our comprehensive master plan is to make our downtown area more walkable, more pedestrian friendly. but you got to get there and you got to park your car before you can do the walking. So this will add a number of additional parking spaces, and it's also going to set the tone for the additional parking infrastructure that we're going to have all the way throughout that area in Main Street. So we can continue to encourage boutique shops and retail shops to come in, restaurants and things like that. I was very happy that Trivium kind of let loose a couple of the particular people that are going to be actually in there. Switch Ice Cream, which is actually really cool. If you check them out online, basically imagine fresh baked cookies with ice cream in the center. So you have like your ice cream sandwich and then you have the toppings around it. So that's going to be pretty good, which is good that it's that far away. So I have to walk there, eat ice cream, and then come back. But then a coffee shop, and talked about Camelot Winery and things like that. So there's going to be a lot of options in there that kind of provide a little bit more of a quality of life thing in there. None of the businesses directly compete. We're not putting another pizza place in to compete with Vic's because, well, let's be honest, there is no competition for Vic's. But we also, we don't want to have something that's going to compete with Tempe Taco or Prost. We wanted something that, like an ice cream shop, that you're going to be able to go and get ice cream after one of those meals, or you're going to have coffee in the morning, or you're going to have coffee in the, at some point in the day. If you're like my development director, coffee is a 24-hour thing because he has a newborn, so that's just kind of a continuous. But we wanted to kind of balance those things out and bring people in from all different areas. So if you have any questions about that, obviously feel free to shoot them out to me. But again, it is an investment, and we are working very hard on taking care of the other two pieces of property that we have, which is the former Moyer Automotive site, and then obviously the PNC site. So we're working hard on all of those things, but having two of them, knock on wood, having two of them off our plate for right now is actually pretty good, so we're going to continue to work with that. Do have a little bit of news about the Alliance. This is the former Kmart facility that's going to be built. We look to have some pretty pictures, hopefully sometime in September, to share with you, but it's going to be a fabulous multi-use facility that's going to have a convention space, going to have all sorts of cool things out there. So make sure you pay attention to those. As soon as we have actual pictures to share with you, we are going to obviously do that. We have not gotten to that point yet. We're really working on really exciting things like sewage and water and things like that. So once we get through some of the engineering, then we get to more of the fun stuff. So we also did talk about Bryce Park. Bryce Park is moving along. We had a great meeting about that today, actually. So we're going to go ahead and start seeing some movement on that, and we'll get some pictures and some design sketches as soon as we have them, but we're just trying to refine it because, again, this is a partnership between the city of Reynoldsburg and the city of Columbus. So it's twice the bureaucracy, so that means it's going to take a little bit longer to get everything done, but we're really excited about it. It's going to be a great park for that area with some park trails. You're going to have some gazebos. It's going to partner with the library that's going to go in for some educational services, things like that. It's going to be a really good thing. So those are some good things about our development. Any questions?
Yeah, we do have one. It says, is there an update on the community composting program?
Yeah, we are trying to work with it. It's right now there's a potential for a, I guess you could say a trial run that they're going to look for potentially up to as many as 500 houses in Reynoldsburg that would like to participate. We're trying to figure out exactly what the logistics of that would look like. We wanted to hold off until we knew that Local Waste, who is now, again, our trash provider this year, that, we knew there was going to be some transition issues from January all the way throughout. And we think they're finally in a good place right now where it's a pretty consistent. We don't get a lot of complaints. We don't get a lot of concerns. So I think that's going to be something that we're going to look to do as we move forward. Just didn't want to overload everybody with new trash and composting and recycling. Oh my, a lot of things all at once. All right. So we got some great things coming up. First of all, I want to thank all the volunteers, including a couple of members of council that were able to come out this past Saturday at Plant Reynoldsburg. It was great. We planted over 2,000 plants, and then a few hours later it hailed because that's Ohio. But it was really good to get out there to kind of help beautify the area. We also had the Reynoldsburg area Democrats were one of the focus groups that went out to actually pick up some trash on Lancaster. So any of the groups that are out there that do that, including the Masons, the Chamber of Commerce, and others, when they go out there, we'll go ahead and promote them as well. We do have some cool events coming up. The first one is going to be the Artist and Makers Market, and that's going to be Saturday, June 4th. It starts at 10 a.m. at the Livingston House. There's going to be 30 vendors of all sorts of fine arts and crafts and handmade goods and things like that. If you're able to make it out there last time, you had a blast. It was a really great day. Really looking forward to that one. And that's one of the things that you can do in your Tomator guidebook. So you have this Tomator guidebook that will be available. So if you go to the Artist and Makers Market, which is actually one of the things listed there, or any number of the other events that we have in the city, you can actually stamp them. Then at each 20 stamps, you get $10 off your next Parks and Rec registration. And if you get all of them done, everybody's favorite, you get your very own special t-shirt. So we know that there are a few people that just absolutely love the t-shirts out there. So again, that's a great opportunity for that. We also have the return of the farmers market that's coming up in a couple of weeks. That's not next Thursday, but the Thursday after. And that's going to be right here at JFK Park where it's been the last couple of years. So we're looking forward to that. So I know they've got cake pops and some, fruits and vegetables and all the great things that are out there for that.
And the pickles too.
And
Everyone
pickles.
loves pickles.
Yep. So hopefully pickles will be out there as well. We also have, not long after that, our third annual Juneteenth celebration. And so I'm going to read a little bit something because we actually have the George J. Stiebolt Juneteenth Legacy Award. So located off of State Route 256 near the intersection with Farmsbury Drive, Cedar Cemetery houses approximately 15 veterans from the U.S. Revolutionary War, the War of 1812, and the U.S. Civil War. Interred in that cemetery is a member of the U.S. Colored Infantry, George Stiebolt, who fought in the Civil War. And he is going to actually have an honorarium for that particular position if you would like to nominate someone. The recipients will be recognized at the Juneteenth ceremony on June 18th. So if you're interested in that, check out our Facebook page and then also check out the website so you can get some more information on that. Councilwoman Meredith Lawson-Rowe has put together what used to be a very small program, and then last year it grew a little bit more, and now it's like this big and bigger every day, so it's going to be a lot of fun, so I hope you can join us there. It is for everybody in the community. It's going to have lots of fun things going on. There's also some tennis instruction spots still available, so if you want to get your tennis game up a little bit now that the weather's getting nicer, feel free to do that. We also have our Home Alone classes for 10 to 13-year-olds. So for those kids that are now getting out of school, that they'll have some instructions on, stranger danger and what they can and cannot do and things like that. We also have a rock hoppers idea where you basically use some nets and buckets to kind of go into some of our creeks and see some of our wildlife in there. It's only $5 and it's for the whole family. So again, that's something you can check out on our Facebook page or on our website under the Parks and Recs. We also have our last Tomato Festival volunteer meeting, and that's going to be on next Tuesday, June 1st, actually, I think is what that is. But it's going to be right here at City Hall, so go ahead and participate in that. And it's only the last one because right now we're really getting into that really heavy planning stage. So all the volunteers are going to get some information, and then we'll move forward from that. We also have the 4th of July coming up, so for those of you that are interested in nominating somebody for the Grand Marshal, you can do that as well, or actually register to have your parade float in the 4th of July parade as well. So we're looking for a huge kind of reveal for that. So our next Fireside Chat is actually going to be a couple of weeks from now because I'm actually going on vacation next week, so I won't be there. But then after that, I'm going to be at a conference, but that's actually probably a good thing because we're getting a new website, and it's set to go live in June, and so we want to make sure that we run out, not that there's ever any issues with technology, but if there were, we want to make sure that we take care of those first before we really go back to the show. So we know that we want to have the show broadcast on our webpage, then we're going to have to make sure that we get it out on our Facebook page as well and all of that. So there's a lot of things coming up. So we're going to take a couple of weeks to make sure that we iron out all the problems and get everything ready to go. So you may see a few testings here and there. But we're really looking forward to bringing that new website in. It's going to be very user-friendly. It's going to be very proactive, so you can get a lot of information that way. So we're looking forward to that. It's been a huge team effort. Everybody's been doing something with it. So we're really looking forward to some of that to help kind of better communicate some of the things that we've got going on in the city. But when we come back, I will have City Councilwoman Meredith Lawson-Rowe. She's going to come in and talk a little bit more about Juneteenth and what it means to her and the process and what to expect at the celebration on Saturday the 18th, which is the day before the 19th, which it just happens to be that way. With that, do we have any other questions? Any comments?
No.
What's your favorite sports team?
Sports. Yeah, that one team that played the other night.
There we go. So we have our sports team. Again, thank you, Drew, for coming in today. We do appreciate it. Everything that you've been able to do has been phenomenal. You've definitely taken anything that we've given you to do, and you've risen above any expectations all the way around. One of my favorite things that you did that you don't have the ability to share because you forgot your spoons.
I don't have my spoons.
Is one of basically it was a debate that you had about the single-use plastics, and it has become the common theme that right now that no matter what goes on, the response is, well, that's an interesting question, but the real question is, can you tell the difference between these two spoons? And that's been a running gag around City Hall for the last couple of weeks.
And it was a great opportunity to present that in front of City Council and ask all the City Council members if they could see the difference between
those two spoons. So we appreciate everything you have. Everybody else out there, stay safe, stay respectful, and again, hug your kids. Just want a little bit extra over the next couple of days. Make sure you put your shopping carts away, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks. Bye, everybody.